You had a great month in December, right? It was your record month.
Yeah, it was the biggest month I've had, so did a little over 20,000 in net profit for that month.
Yeah, Evan, welcome back, man. It's great to see you. How you doing?
Good. Good to be on again. How you doing, Alex?
Yeah, I'm really good, man. I was just because last week I was thinking about when you first came on, and I was like, we got to get Evan back on because I wanted to start it and kick it off with diving straight into your recent results. Because people clicking on this video, they want to see some juice. They want to see the good stuff. They want to see that. So you had a great month in December, right? It was your record month.
Yeah, it was the biggest month I've had, so did a little over 20,000 in net profit for that month.
Yeah, and Evan was going to show it on his phone, but then we realized he's recording on his phone now, even though the camera looks super crisp. So I'm going to pop up the screenshot of that. So you did just over 20,000 in profit, which so this is just one brand, right? One brand, and how many products do you have in that brand?
Yeah, so I have three products, and then one product has two color variations, so it's four total products.
Amazing. So I'm looking at the screenshot now, and that's nearly a 30% like net margin, which is higher than our margin. Like that's crazy, right?
Yeah, the net margin is good. I started bundling my hero product with another product that attaches to it because it's like a chest pack for outdoors, and so that's helped a little bit drive traffic more cheaply. So
Nice, awesome. So those are your current results, right? You've been you were probably one of the first 5 members of Honest FBA, right? Because we initially did a couple of consultation calls, and we were like helping you out just sort of like on an hourly basis, and then you were one of like the original the OGs, and now you're even part of the team, and you're helping out in Discord and do some coaching calls and stuff. So that's been amazing. It's like to see you grow over this time and be such an awesome part of the community has been amazing. So I mean, thanks for that first of all.
it's
But
so wild too because like I found I originally found you guys through YouTube, right? And then it was just like a random connection through watching YouTube video and like how much I've learned in the community that we're in now is just yeah, it's crazy
yeah,
how just like one connection on YouTube
that
can
uh,
help so much. So
and that's what's so cool about making content, isn't it? Like, because I think when we were making those YouTube videos back then, we were probably getting like 100 views a video, and you think like nobody's watching, but then you get like awesome like relationships out of it like this. But I
yeah.
want to we've already done a part one of this, but that was probably like 6-7 months ago. So I think most people watching this, you're going to be new to them, right? So you've got quite an interesting story with how you got into Amazon FBA and kind of your first proper product and everything. So can you give us like a brief summary of that? Because I know you have talked about it before, but like what happened
Yeah.
when you first got in and everything else?
Yeah, so the quick story, I wanted to start a business site on Amazon FBA. I needed to help, didn't feel confident, so I had an agency help me that was supposed to be full service, where they were supposed to do it for you, but also teach you about it. Um, when I that was $9,900 for not including inventory for them to do that. And when I got into it, they were like, "Sorry, we can't share with you how we do product research. That's proprietary information." I was like, "That's kind of what I need to know to like
Yeah.
grow a business is how to launch products." But other than that, like they did give me some warehouse connections. They got a first product up and running. Um, it wasn't profitable at all because they planned the ROI to be 40%, like in best case scenario, which we know, like you want at least 80% net
Mm.
ROI. And so after it launched, I was just like, wow, I really need to learn now and take things into my own hands because working with them isn't working out. And that's when I started watching YouTube videos, found out on FBA, and then kind of took things into my own hands to launch my own product. But that beginning was the gateway that I needed to take the jump and start learning. And then I was like, okay, I can scrap it and do a new product. But even though that first one wasn't profitable, it gave me the trial run and the skills to know, okay, this is what I need to do for the next one. So
Yeah, because I think, and that's one thing that we talk about a lot in the community is, I mean, there's a lot of these automation companies out there, and I don't know if these guys were strictly like an automation company, where they were kind of like a semi done for you kind of thing, right? But kind of close, but not as bad as that, I don't think. But I think the key thing is like my first product wasn't a home run. Like it didn't go very well. But like looking back, I'm like the whole point of really of your first product is just just get into it, right? And get that experience. So what was it that made you think actually, even though I've not made money with this first product, I want to continue and keep going?
Yeah, I think how as much work as it was, it just seemed really easy every day to be getting 200, $300 in sales, and you're like, "What's the difference between, doing this and doing this 4 or 5 more times?" It just felt really scalable, and, that if I could learn the skills of launching products and optimizing, then the limit like, there would be no it felt a little limitless, so I enjoyed that part of knowing that if it worked out, like, how big it could go.
Yeah, that was exactly the same for me. Because I remember hitting my first $100 day, and that blew my mind. It absolutely
Yeah.
blew my mind. And then I remember hitting $1,000 day, and that was I just couldn't believe it. Like I'd done $1,000 in sales, and then it's exactly the same as like I was like, if I can do 100 and then 1,000, I can do 5,000 and then 10,000. Like, and then hitting a $10,000 day, it didn't feel as good as hitting that first $100 day, which is quite funny. But it is crazy how scalable it is, right? It's the same amount of work, but just more scale.
Yeah, like, getting to that first $100,000 in sales seems like a lot of work because 'cause you're learning so many skills, but then going from, like, 100,000 to 1,000,000, you're like, what's stopping you? There's not much
Yeah,
once you have the skill, so
yeah. So the vast majority of people, the place that they get stuck is finding products. And I think you've done such an amazing job. And I remember having those first calls with you and us discussing kind of concepts behind product research. And it was like you just churned it all in and just like absorbed it all. And then also went off and did your own stuff, like your own research and stuff. And then now like you've nailed it. And I think your products, not we're not going to show exactly what they are, but you're in the kind of outdoor space, right? Like you've
yeah.
really, I'm a big sort of within the community, I try and tell people like you're not finding a product, like you're creating one. And I think that's what you've done a great job of. So can you tell us a little bit about the product research process that you used and how you came with the idea and like the execution of the first products and how you've got to this like brand space?
Yeah, so when I first found the product of my new brand, which is like a chest pack, for outdoors, I used helium-10, just kinda old school methods that we've talked about before, but then when it got to well, the market had, like, okay reviews, but everything looked very boring in it, and the listing images were bad, um, and so I was like, "Okay, I think there's room to innovate here," and instead of, like I mean, I read the reviews, but really I just Googled I took that product and I Googled it, and I looked at Google Images, and I looked at so many other brands that had similar types of products and gained inspiration there, and whether or not this is the best thing to do, but I was looking at D2C brands that had products that were super high priced and no chance of ranking on Amazon because if the average price is 40 and you're selling it for 120, you're not going to show up on the top of page one. And then, making sure those designs don't have patents and then using that as an inspiration for what my design would be. Um, but I didn't have a lot of money to pay designers. So that was like, it's not illegal and it's was my closest way to like have products that offer value to people by kind of doing an arbitrage between high price D2C, doing a little bit of a twist, better price, and getting it at the top of the market on Amazon.
Because you kind of sit then like you're like you've got the highest price D2C brands, and then you've got like the bottom end cheap Chinese brands, and then you're kind of like in the middle, right? Where
Yeah.
your brand looks like a high quality D2C brand though, right? Like your listings are incredible.
Yeah, and then, like, that was a key part of the product research was looking at the prices of the top people, and there was, like, a little bit of a price spread. Some people were at 40, some people were at 60, some people were above that. And so I felt like I had room to play with my price, whereas everyone was just 29.99 for all the top 10. That would scare me a little bit because it shows
Mm.
that customers care about price. People think like, oh, they don't, but whatever is in the top 10 results is, I mean, the data speaks for itself there.
I think that was one of the mistakes we made very early on. We were like, we're going to make a premium product. I've seen you talk about this on Twitter before as well. Like, we're going to make a premium product. We're going to be $80 when everyone else is $30, but it's going to be a better product. And then it the only way that can work on Amazon is if you've got that external traffic coming in and people buying it because they know the brand, right? And
Yeah.
we've seen that with a lot of products now.
Yeah, it'll work D2C, but it won't work on Amazon. And I want to develop a backpack this year, and like it's a massive market, but the top ones are like 70, $80 on Amazon, and that's still super cheap. So when I talk to a lot of designers, they're like, "No, it has to be 120, 180." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll forget selling this on Amazon then."
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That for sure is one of the key things that we really make sure people understand is how price sensitive Amazon is. If you're purely going to be an Amazon brand, so if you had to give some tips or insights. Let's imagine that I'm starting Amazon today, right? You are living proof that you can still make great margins, make great money. Like making $20,000 profit in a month is crazy, right? And doing this on top of your full time job and everything. If you had to give some kind of like tips to people that were just getting into Amazon and they were doing their product research, based off your experience so far, what would those tips be?
yeah, one would be to look for micro markets and super niche markets, um, because if there's not a ton of revenue, let's say a product is doing 10, 15, 20,000 a month, then it's not going to attract the attention of really big brands. And so I think the room to innovate and kind of own that space will be greater. Because I've found even in my market, like a lot more other niche niche markets, and they're not big, but they're still a great place to start. And people will say, "Oh, Amazon is getting harder. It's getting harder." I mean, it is, especially with markets that have massive TAMs, like let's say a general backpack. But there's still a lot of micro markets where the unit economics could work out, and you could kind of own that space. Um, so I just think at least 3 levels deep. So don't think, "Oh, I want to start a kitchen brand." Don't think I want to start just a kitchen utensil brand, but then like kitchen utensils for elderly people. So that's kind of a framework I like to use, is like, are you going at least 3 levels deep with who you're targeting and the type of product it'll be? Because those keywords that then you bid on will be easier to rank, and your conversion will be higher because it's so targeted to a specific audience and you know who the product's for.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that was one of the early tips that somebody gave to me is like niching down and yeah, you've got backpacks, then you've got like waterproof backpacks, then you've got waterproof backpacks for kids, and then kids
Yeah.
waterproof backpacks for hiking uh, and the more specific that you go, the the better you can do if you craft everything around that like very sort of specific niche, right? And yeah, I think you've done a really good job with that. And then what about kind of with the launching of your products? Like I think you've done, I don't know, every time you launch a product, it seems like you're just posting the thing and you're like, okay, I'm a week in now and I'm ranking for all the top keywords. So like talk us through your launch and your launch strategy and what you do there.
Yeah. So, one is the pricing, keep things at least in line with the top seller or 10 to 15% below. And then people always ask, well, how long do you keep the price low, or how long? And Helium 10 has that Cerebro tool, and they have the CPR column, which is how many sales you need to make over 7 day or 8 days to
Yeah.
be at the top of the page. So, I mean, that's a great, like, if you're hitting that amount of sales organically, then you kind of know, okay, I'm at a good like spot for organic ranking, or you can just check your organic keyword rank. Um, so yeah, keeping price low until I get good ranks. And honestly, a big part of the launch is just photography. I spend
Mm,
2,000 to 2,500 for every product I launch, which is a lot. But all that real lifestyle photography increases my listing conversion rate, so my PPC money goes a lot further. That was a mistake I made with my first product. I tried to go cheaper, but if you go cheaper on photography, you pay for it so much throughout the life of the listing.
I think that's one of, especially in the niche that you're in. Like when you showed me your photos, the last round that you had done, I think for your last product that you launched, like I was like, man, they looked incredible. Like I said, that looked like off a big D2C site, $100 million brand type thing. Like they were so good. And that's because you obviously paid that extra, that. And yeah, that is one of the things that people really want to skimp and save and do everything super, super cheap. And um
Hmm.
I think it is kind of the product dependent as well, because I think the type of products that you're selling is, you don't want to buy that, and you're buying that because you're going to use that regularly. So you want something that's quality, it's going to last and it's trustworthy. So if it looks like a cheap Chinese listing, then like you're less likely to trust it, right? But if it's another product that's kind of way more commoditized, maybe people don't really pay as much attention to, as it got nice lifestyle photography. But where did you go for your lifestyle photos then?
Yeah, it's his name is Ian. He's based in Colorado. I can't remember the name of his agency off the top of my head right now. I'm blanking on it. Um, yeah,
But
so it's just him and
you
his
just
wife
kind of
that do it.
found him like that's not local to you though, right? Like you just found him,
No,
Googled him, and then just
it was a Twitter. I found him on Twitter.
right. Nice,
So many
nice.
things. So many things that like either YouTube or Twitter. I don't think I have many connections in my life that haven't come from one of those two places. So
Having come from there. Awesome. And then in terms of another big question that we always get from beginners is like stock. How much stock should I order? What's your approach to that during a launch?
yeah, so um, I order enough stock still to be in stock for 3 months. Um, yeah, so I know we've talked about doing smaller test orders, and we've both found that it's not as hard to regain ranking as we once
Mm,
thought, because a lot of past advice was, hey, if you go out of stock, it's going to take so much money to re-rank your product. But I mean, I was out of stock for 4 months throughout the year, or three and a half. And each time a product got back in stock, like I didn't feel like it made a huge financial impact. Like, oh, I'm spending so much on PPC. Like
mm.
it gets back, especially if you're in small markets where it only takes 10, 15 sales a day to be in the top spots.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's these kind of like um beliefs that get passed around the Amazon community, and everybody starts to repeat it. And like, yeah, when I first got into Amazon, it was like, do not go out of stock. Like, it's going to kill your business. Like, you're going to lose all your rand. And I don't know whether maybe the algorithms changed over time or what, but like, yeah, we've seen the same. We go out of stock sometimes a month. Obviously, it sucks because you're not making sales, but we regain those organic ranks pretty quickly. And if you think about it from Amazon's perspective, if they know that product converts really well and it makes them money, why would they not want to promote, or why would they punish it once it's got back in stock? So but so you're still taking quite an aggressive approach though, right? Because what the way that we're recommending beginners do it is they're a little bit more conservative. But this is one of the key things with Amazon. As you get more experience, you can be more confident in what you're doing. So you now go a little bit more aggressive with the amount of stock that you order, because you want to aggressively kind of like rank and just stay in stock to make money, right?
Yeah, I go more aggressive, and then the more data I get on it, the more aggressive I get. So, like for my hero product, now I'm going to order 6 months this year because I have a year of data behind it to stay in stock more. Like I would never have done that before, but the more data you get in like your market, and the more stock you can order.
Yeah.
Um,
So with the product itself, you mentioned your kind of tactic, which I think is really smart, is I don't want to say copied, because I don't think you've copied. You've taken inspiration from some bigger brands that are like double the price of yours, maybe even three times the price or whatever, that these big D2C brands. In terms of looking at that, like a lot of people say you've got to improve the product. Like a lot of beginners really struggle because they think they've kind of got to reinvent the wheel, right? You didn't do that, and you're doing really, really well. I know obviously, like you said, you've taken inspiration from these big brands, but it with these other products that you're launching and stuff, like how are you approaching like customization and improving the product and stuff like that?
yeah. Well, one way that I've improved is just through bundling. So I can still bundle more stuff with my product, but a lot of D2C brands, they charge for every little add-on as an upsell. So I'm like, okay, I'm
Mm,
just going to take some of those upsells and bundle them together, offer the customer greater value, um, which is good. And then other brands, like if I search them on YouTube, even or people are making hacks to these bags, and it's like the customers have already told the brands what they want, but they could be so big or they have so many product lines that they just can't make
mm.
improvements fast or they're not that nimble. So I can kind of even look at what people are complaining about in Reddit or on YouTube videos about other, bags or outdoor gear and kind of see, okay, well I can do that on my bag. So even if I start in the same place and it's not that much different, like customers will tell me what they want to change too. So it kind of starts having a life of its own.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think using Reddit and any community I've spent so much time on Reddit, forums, YouTube channels, Facebook groups, and the amount of insights that we've got, and people can come to us sometimes and I can't find a product, and if you break it down, really all you're doing is like you're finding stuff that has existing demand, and then you're looking at what currently exists, and then you're doing the research into what people like and they don't like, and then you're bringing something that's slightly different. You're making a really nice brand. You make sure the economics on the product makes sense. Like if I sell it for $40, I'm going to make at least, let's say, I don't know, 20% net profit, whatever. And that's kind of it, right? It's not rocket science, is it? It's quite a simple
Yeah.
process once you understand those like key parts.
Yeah. And I like to use I call it the Unreasonable Framework. I think the poster child, Alex Hormozy, did a tweet about this, but it's like, if I have, if I do XYZ, then it's unreasonable that it won't go somewhat well. So, like, if I have my net ROI above 90% and I have better images than the competition, like, it's unreasonable that I'm not going to sell.
Mm.
And I think that kind of gives me, whenever I get super nervous about, is this launch going to go well? It's like, okay, it's a good ROI. I've tested the product. The images are better. It's unreasonable. It's going to be a dud. And then, see what happens. So,
Because a lot of people have, and I think that's for sure one thing that you know. I don't think from speaking to you, over the I don't know, probably 2 years now, maybe we've known each other. Is initially, yeah, you've just always had that belief that like, okay, the numbers make sense. I know I'm going to do the branding really well, and then you just go for it, and then that's resulted in like a bunch of successful products, a great brand, and doing it really. Because we see people within the community even still sometimes getting a little bit cautious, and I think that's one key thing for us was once we launched that first product, it was like, okay, that went well, but was that kind of luck? And then we launched the second product, and that went well, and it was like, oh well, it's not actually luck; it's just following this process, and then the results kind of just just happen, right? But I mean, have you had home apart from your first product? Have you had any products under this brand that haven't gone as well as you expected them to?
um, let's see. Most, yeah, the most recent product I had, which was targeted towards hunters, they were all complaining it was too loud. Luckily, other people started buying it that didn't hunt and started leaving good reviews. So I was really worried at the beginning of that one. I'm like, okay, it's a seasonal product. It's starting out with like 3.3 stars. Um, but we just found a different audience to target. And my other product, my waist bags are like, I'm struggling with the sizing on those and battling people getting bad reviews for those. So I'm trying to update my listing to make it super clear, like, hey, don't buy this if this isn't for you. And then I'm working with the factory right now, and I might go out of stock for this one just while we get more sample revisions to fix what people are complaining about. But yeah, I think that return rate has been 10 to 20%. In December for that. So I was like, okay, we got to fix this because that's costing me so much money and it's not good.
But this is the thing, because I remember that actually jogged my memory that you had some real quality issues at one point with one of your products, right? And I remember you telling me, and I was like, man, that really sucks. But I think that's a testament to your character, and a huge reason I think why you have been successful and you're going to continue to be is you just persevere, right? Like when these things come up, you always seem super calm, and you're just like, what do I need to do to what do I need to do? I don't know if like inside you're like freaking out and I'm just like Evan's like cool as a cucumber, but you always seem very calm and collected, and you just know this is just part of the process, right, of running a business.
Yeah, and I think about my intention is to sell a good product. So, like, I did my research. This is what customers don't like about it, and okay, we'll fix it on our next PO run. And there's not much more I could do about it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, because there is no business that anybody is going to run that is going to just go smoothly all the time, right? And I think that is such a I feel like you already had that as like an existing kind of skill or mindset, but a lot of people have to learn that like things are going to go badly, and they're not going to go the way that you expect. But it doesn't matter what business model you pick. That's obviously going to be the case. So what's your plan moving forward then? Because we've discussed this a few times. We've talked about like anybody watching the channel that's familiar, we're moving into D2C. You and I have discussed that a few times. What's your plan with the brand and for like your future in e-commerce as well?
Yeah, so moving forward, I want to chase bigger markets to be able to grow my brand with just one product that I could scale instead of looking in more micro markets. Because the small markets I found on Amazon are good, and I ended this year with like four more markets that I wanted to go into. But I'm like, is it really going to move the needle on my revenue? It's going to be more stuff to maintain. So that's when I started looking at outdoor backpacks, but the unit economics are just so bad for like hunting backpacks on Amazon. For the top sellers, they're $40, $50 really cheap. So that's when I was like, okay, maybe I do need to sell D2C and kind of make this a hero product to launch through Shopify and Facebook ads. So that's the direction I'm heading in right now, is like maintaining what I have on Amazon. If I launch more stuff on Amazon, it's going to be bundles or complementary to what I have. Um, and then a new launch that I'll still launch on Amazon as a soft launch and probably do all my fulfillment through Amazon to keep things streamlined. But yeah, launch it through Shopify and D2C.
So that's the existing brand though, right? Like you're not looking to start anything new just yet.
Yeah, no, it's the existing brand.
Yeah. And are you looking to exit that brand at any point?
I would like to exit it. It's going to be a small. So this past year, I did around 230,000 in revenue. This next year, I want to be at least 500,000 in revenue, and it's a small business to exit, but I still be interested in getting, my inventory value plus a small multiple if someone was interested in buying it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
mean, we've had a few people within the community that have exited like smaller brands, and just having that chunk of cash available to like invest in something else. Because we discussed it a few times, didn't we? Like, I think at some point in like your journey in ecom and everybody's journey in ecom, the first few years are just kind of like, okay, like what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm launching products, I'm starting to learn about this, I'm learning about that, and then at some point it's almost like you get to the point where you've got these skills, and then you've got to kind of look at the opportunity that you're working on and make the decision like, is this aligned with my skills? Because the first few products, the first couple of years, it's really all about just like learning, and then after that it's about, I almost see it as like you've gone through university, you've got the work experience, now it's kind of time to like graduate and point yourself in the right direction. So beyond, let's imagine you go on and exit this brand, what would you want to do moving forward, and where do you kind of see over the next maybe like 5 years with your brands and stuff? What would you like to do, and where would you like to go?
Yeah. So if I exited this brand and started another one, I really like the food space of like subscribe and save products, consumable products. I know there's an opportunity even to do that with the brand I have, but um, being able to produce in the US, have shorter supply chain times, like fun food packaging, all yeah, that sounds like a fun opportunity to build.
Because I keep seeing products because like, and I'm like, damn, that could go under Evan's brand because
Yeah.
this is one of those decisions where it's like we've had it with our brand where at some point we were like, before we really got into D2C, we were like, does it make sense for us to like start another brand? There's always these, there's so once you know what you're doing, the problem isn't finding a product opportunity or a niche opportunity. It's like, where do I like allocate my time and my money? Um, and there was a product the other day where it was like coffee in a tube that I don't know if you saw it in the Discord, and it was like it was for people that go on hikes and hunting and stuff, where it's like this, it's like real coffee condensed into a tube, and I think it's a brand new product. And then I saw it and I was like, oh man, that would work with like your under your brand because we were discussing, weren't we? Like, is there an opportunity for you to launch a subscription based product? Because I think this combination of subscription based products and then one time purchase products, if you couple those together, that can be really powerful because you already
Yeah.
have those existing customers that know your brand, and then it's like, hey, we've got this great subscription based product. So yeah, have you really explored that for your existing brand? And what's your thoughts on that for the existing brand?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, I don't think I have a good answer for it, because I have a bag manufacturer, and I think I wanna be in something long enough where I can capitalize on all my mistakes and not ditch something, too soon. Um, so, like, that's why I wanna stay in bags because I feel like it's the easiest to keep going. Doesn't mean it's the best, but, um, for food stuff like trail food, it just introduces questions like, are customers who wanna buy bags and I launch something that's a food, or they're like, "Oh, I'm also
Mm,
gonna buy that too." I think, the Operators podcast, they've talked about, like, is something our
yeah,
customers want, and I feel like, it's not like I have a big brand or people really know my brand, so it's like I probably could launch it and people would buy it, but, it comes down to my focus of, like, okay, do I wanna spend it's a little bit different in terms of getting it started than the momentum I have with, like, launching new bags,
yeah,
so it's like, do I wanna
yeah,
break that momentum for and get, like, sidetracked this year, or do I just wanna, like, push double my business by pushing what I know, and then like, at what point do you start doing something else, you know?
yeah, for sure. And I think honestly, I think so many people have this. Like even people that are at like huge scale, they think, should I continue with what I'm doing, or should I, go sideways? And I always think it's a good idea to kind of just continue for longer than you think you probably should, and then reassess. Like 6 months down the line, have a look again and be like, do I feel like it still kind of makes sense? And there's always going to be that shiny object syndrome. Um, but I think part of the reason why I've been really keen pushing you towards that, I think, is because there's this set of skills off of Amazon for content creation and meta advertising and influencers and all of that stuff. I think is like right in your wheelhouse of like being great at that. So I'm almost like I want Evan to go and do that so he can he can like do really well, and then we can chat about all like the meta advertising and stuff. Um but yeah.
And part of
Um
it's the cash too, because like, I keep going out of stock not keep going, but I still haven't been in stock for a full year, so I feel like I can make more money just by buying more inventory and pushing more
yeah.
inventory. Um, so like I said, like, those are easy points. So but then if I do development on something else, yeah, every
Yeah.
you limited somewhat limited resources. It'd be nice if I just had a ton of cash to keep putting into new ventures, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I don't think it's ever a mistake to double down on what's working, really, fundamentally. Um, all right, man, awesome. It's been great. I mean, to kind of leave, I know it's like a little bit of a broad question. Um, Speaking to the beginners out there, people may be on the fence of getting started. A lot of people are, perhaps a little bit skeptical and stuff like that. But what would you say to somebody that's on the fence with getting started with not just Amazon FBA but e-commerce?
Yeah. I would say if you have, like, a sustained interest in it, like, for me, it wasn't just, "Oh, it's a quick way to make money, I'm gonna do that." I saw it in one day. It was a continue in the back of my mind, like, I feel like I could do that. Like, I feel like I could build a brand on the internet, and that would be fun.
Mm,
Then it's super easy to get started and stay with it for the long term. So I would just, like, think long term, think what you could build over the next 5 years if you were actually committed to learning, and, yeah, if it's not something that you wanna do long term and you're just looking for a quick way to make cash, then don't do it.
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
And sometimes, yeah, like it's a real shame when people. I think part of the reason this happens is because a lot of the time Amazon FBA is marketed as the best business model for passive income, for making money, for quitting your job and your 9 to 5, and all of these like buzzwords, right? And like
yeah.
there is not a best business. Like if there was a business model that was easy, quick, you could make loads of money, you could quit your 9 to 5 in 3 months and be rich and travel the world and da da da. Like that business model just doesn't exist, right? And this is one thing. Like if somebody came to me and they were like, "Should I get into e-commerce?"
Mhm.
I would be like, "What are you trying to do it for?" Like if you're trying to make money in the next 6 months, no. Like if you're trying to quit your job in the next 12 months, probably no again, unless you've got a really good budget. Like, you know what I mean? But if you're looking to do something that you're really passionate about, where the upside is potentially huge, because over the space of 3, 4, 5 years, you could build a great business and sell that business. That's not unreasonable, is it? That to do that. And then what you can do over 10 years, I mean, what you're a few years into it now, like you could have a couple of exit under your belt in 10 years and be running the next Ridge.
Yeah. Dreaming big. Yeah.
You'll be like yeah, the
Mhm.
next Sean on Twitter. All right, man, that was awesome. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for your time. I think it's really nice to hear from just nice normal people about their experience with Amazon without all of the bullshit.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm super happy that your success is continued and you're doing really well. And yeah, you're a great asset to the Honest FBA community. So yeah, thanks for all your contributions there. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, awesome, man. Been good chatting.
Cool, man.